Welcome back to The Rosy Romantic. I'm Bree, and today we're going to be talking about romances you may not know about. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Also, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe because we love talking all things romance here. So grab your drinks, grab your snacks, and let's chat. Alright, first on the list is Taking the Heat. Because I was scrolling on Threads, as one does, and I saw that someone was talking about how Lynn Whitfield was the first Olivia Pope. I was like, what are you talking about? What is going on? So I had to research more because I was like, they're onto something. Because Tony Goldwyn also stars opposite her in this film called Taking the Heat. Okay, so let me set the premise. I'm not going to give anything away, but I'm going to tell you the premise because if you want to see it and you want to check it out, then we're going to talk about it real quick. Okay, so Michael, okay, who's played by Tony Goldwyn. So he is this, I think he's in like finance or corporate, something like that. So he's in the finance corporate world and it is Christmas time. And he is going to pick up his skis. But as he's doing that, unfortunately, he witnesses these really bad guys take out a really sweet man, okay, that was behind on a couple payments, all right, but took money from the wrong people, okay? And he saw him getting taken out.
Oh, Carol! Oh, no!
So after he witnessed that, all right, he's terrified for his life, but he decides to call the authorities, the police, to come because he's like, oh, this is terrible. This is really, really bad, and I am terrified because, like, what if these people come after me? Like, I was a witness. Now they don't know that. He was able to hide. But now, you know, if he puts it on record and has to testify and things, like, what if they find out it's him, right? So when the officer gets to the scene, which is Carolyn, played by Lynn Whitfield, she's an officer at the time, and she's like, okay, what happened here? And, you know, did you see anything? He's like, he decides to lie and be like, oh, like, I arrived to the, the scene and I saw it and I was like, oh no, I gotta call the police. But he, in fact, witnessed it, but he's not telling that because he's like, that would be very terrifying for me and my life, so I'm not gonna do that. And Carolyn's very upset at this because she's like, look, I'm an officer. I need to know these things so I can investigate, okay? So I can do my job. So we can, serve justice to the public, right? But because of this interaction that's happening, okay, they're not getting along on the best of terms. They're just like, okay, she feels like he's lying, okay, and that he feels like he's like, okay, you don't understand what I'm going through and I'm overwhelmed. So they go their separate ways. Then I believe 6 months later, okay, because now we're in the summer, I think it's July or June, it's really hot in the city. Okay, also, yeah, we're in New York. So we go from really cold to really hot. Okay, taking the heat, right? And so this is where the two meet up again because now Carolyn, okay, within 6 months, darling, within 6 months, she is now a detective. And now the court date's coming up because he still has to testify, okay, that he knew this, this happened. He, is not telling the whole truth of, witnessing and everything, and he actually saw the people, but he has to appear at that court date, and then somehow people find out that he is the witness. So she goes up to protect him, and now they have to work together, okay, to get across the city so they can get him to his to testify in court. So this is really good. Yeah, so if you'd like to watch it, the chemistry's good. It's really funny. It kind of reminds me of what Caught Stealing was trying to do in that new movie with Austin Butler and Regina King. So it kind of has that very like 90s-esque on the run kind of thing about it. But the main thing in the movie that shines is the chemistry between Tony Goldwyn and Lynn Whitfield as Michael and Carolyn. Now, here's this, okay? And when someone says she's the first Olivia Pope, I was like, she kind of is, because what is Olivia Pope's middle name, y'all?
You don't know this? I know something about history that you don't know.
Carolyn. I was like, well, wait a minute. My sister and I were watching this. We're like, then that means Shonda Rhimes watched this. And she saw Tony Goldwyn. Like, did she cast him because she saw Taking the Heat, y'all?
Oh, hold on one second. I'm just taking this moment. This is cool.
The lore of that. Could you imagine the lore? That would be incredible. Okay, so you gotta check it out. You gotta check it out. Taking it to the streets. Okay, that song is not in there, but it just reminds me of that song. But anyway, next up we have Kate and Leopold. Okay, for all my Kate and Leopold fans, okay, we're gonna talk about them, but if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna tell you. We're gonna tell the premise and we're not gonna spoil anything, okay? So we have Kate here, and this is in, when was this made? In the early 2000s. I think this is like 2001. And this is starring Meg Ryan and Hugh Jackman. And so you have Meg Ryan playing Kate. And she is a corporate girly, okay? She is working her 9 to 5 and she's loving, you know, her job, her life and everything. But then again, she's, you know, searching for love and she's kind of feeling a little bit discouraged. But then we have Leopold. You're like, Leopold?
Whoa, just rewind and freeze.
Leopold, you're like, in the early 2000s? Okay, you know, why would he have that name then? I'm glad you asked, because he is actually in the late 1800s. What? Yep. This is a timeline movie, and so we meet him, and he is the Duke of Albany? Yeah, he's a third Duke of Albany, okay? He is a really eligible bachelor back then, and he is very cynical about love. He's like, I'm not gonna find love, like love doesn't exist, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. But, okay, come to find out that he, okay, because the whole time warp thing that he gets into, he gets brought to the early 2000s. Imagine that it's the late 1800s. And so it could be like, I'm gonna say like the 1880s or something like that. And you go to the early 2000s, you're like, this is really strange. Like, imagine like seeing like TVs and like cars and everything like come to light. You're like, this is terrifying, okay? But then Kate finds him because I think that she lives in the same building. I think so. I haven't seen this movie a little while because I remember that one of my aunties introduced me to this, and we were like, okay, well, like, what's this all about? Because like we love, you know, talking romance and things.
She's got a point. They're
in the building, and she has to help him navigate, okay, this world, because she's like, I'm not sure, like, if he's putting on an act, or if this man really thinks he's from the 1800s. Like, I really want to, you know, to help him. And when they are helping each other navigate, you know, life and his life in the, you know, with technology and all the updates and things, and her, like, kind of slowing down from, like, the, you know, the everyday. Like, she, you know, loves her career, but also he was, you know, kind of reminding her to, you know, kind of take time, you know, for herself and, you know, enjoy life and everything. So that is what this movie explores here. And so if you like that, okay, then I would consider tuning into Kate and Leopold, okay? Also, my favorite thing about it is that Leopold is so poetic, because in the late 1800s, okay, they were writing letters. They took time to, you know, figure out what they were going to say, like Mr. Darcy, you know? And so in this movie, I was like, yes, this is what we want. This is what we want in our rom-coms. I want you to think and feel, be poetic, be romantic.
Now, come on now.
Now we have A Tale as Old as Time with Beauty and the Beast, the 2012 TV show, okay? Now, this was inspired, loosely inspired by the 1987 TV series of Beauty and the Beast, okay? So that was a really successful series, and then later on they decided, okay, what if we made it and like modernized it a little bit more? And so we have here Kat and Vincent. Now let's talk about Kat first, because she really experiences some trauma very early on in her life. So I think this happens early on when she was a teenager, right? And so her mom, sadly, was taken out, and she saw this and witnessed this happen. And as she's about to get taken out herself, someone rescues her, okay? She doesn't know who it is. But then 9 years later, okay, I'm thinking that she's in her, if she was like, 19 at the time or something like that, or 18, that she must be in her like late 20s, okay? So she's now a detective, and you know, she is, you know, on the case of, you know, solving things and getting justice for people. But you know, in the back of her mind, she's thinking, who saved me? Like, you know, there's always going to be a mystery to her until she's investigating this man named Vincent. And it was a soldier, and he was in the service, and he passed away. But then suddenly he comes out and they find him that he's alive. And so they're trying to figure out like what happened and what's going on, and you know, they're just trying to make sense of it. But then in the back of, you know, Kat's mind, there's something about the person that saved her, okay, that's kind of like supernatural, okay? And this was interesting to have this on there during the time because Supernatural was also on the air, right? So you'll see them pair up and try to solve this mystery along with the other mysteries they have to uncover down the road. So they have to, you know, work together, become friends, they get close, then, you know, then real close, you know, okay, the story of Beauty and the Beast, okay? So this is, you know, really interesting because I haven't seen this in a while because I watched this during Arrow and Rain, and I saw it come up on Prime, and I was like, no, wait a minute, I do remember Beauty and the Beast, and I like, you know, this pairing here, which is, she played Lana, okay, in Smallville. Kristen? Yes. And I'm thinking about rewatching it, so if you're interested in that kind of like almost like an investigative detective show with, you know, with romance at the forefront, then this one's for you. This one right here, this is just in time for the holidays because this is the spirit of Christmas. Yeah. And my sister introduced me to this, and at first I was like, oh, is it one of like another Hallmark or Lifetime, which I do love those, okay? But I was like, I'm just looking for like, you know, the romance that, I don't know, that kind of like takes my breath away, right? Sometimes with the Hallmark movies, like the chemistry is like, it's like okay, but like this movie right here, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 with the chemistry. I was like, and I did not expect the twist. I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, but let me fill you in, give you the premise, and then we can, you know, talk about it together. So we have this girl named Kate, okay, and she is a lawyer, and she is going to appraise this inn, this historic inn, because they're like, there's a lot of money to be made from this, as long as we can get, you know, them to sell. But when she goes there, okay, she sees a ghost. Okay, the ghost of Daniel, and he's the previous owner of this house, and he finds out that he only turns human into the human form only 12 days before Christmas, and that's it. Okay, and he doesn't know how he died. Like, that's a mystery to him. And so, you know, he passed, like, I would say in his like late 20s, early 30s. And he doesn't know why. Like, he was going to have, you know, this great life, and then something happened and he doesn't, you know, what it is. And so Kate is trying to get Daniel out of this house. She's like, you need to stop haunting this house because I need to appraise this. I need this for my job, and I need you to, you know, I want to be respectfully, I need you to move on.
That makes me feel sad. I'm sad.
Your sadness is noted.
But when they start to get to know each other, she starts being like, you know what, I actually want to help him. Actually, you know, we start becoming friends. And I believe he's from the 1920s. So again, you have the comedy of her being from, you know, basically the future, and knowing all this technology and history and everything. And he's just trying to, you know, keep up. But also he has the things that he knows about so well, and about this inn and the history of it, and how special and near and dear it is to his heart. Those sides of the story that pair really well together.
And it's a relationship story, and there's a great love story in there that could be made into a movie, I think.
And I was surprised. I watch this every Christmas now. Just once my sister recommended this to me, and now every Christmas I have to watch The Spirit of Christmas. Because of the chemistry, because of the storyline, because of the plot twist, everything about it. I was like, again, 10 out of 10. You can't go wrong with this movie, in my opinion, okay? But if you watch it and you don't like it, that's okay. But I will continue to watch this every Christmas, The Spirit of Christmas. Up next, we have Christine and Daniel from The New Adventures of the Old Christine. Now, everybody knows Julia Louis-Dreyfus, from, Seinfeld as Elaine. But she got her own, I was gonna say like a rom-com series because it kind of felt like that, right? More heavily comedy, but it was like her embarking on this new love life because she recently got divorced. And her husband, her ex-husband, decides to date a younger woman named Christine.
Oh, here it goes.
So now she's in the dating world again. She's trying to navigate this, and she's like, it's really stressful for her. Until she meets, Daniel, played by Blair Underwood. Now, I was like, oh my goodness, Christine. I was like, okay, girl. So it's a little awkward at first because Daniel is Richie's teacher. And Richie is her son who is in like 2nd or 3rd grade. And there's this rule saying in the school that parents and teachers can't date. But she really likes him, and then when they get to know each other, he really likes her, so they're like, okay, what do we do? So there's like a will they, won't they going on, and it's nice to see like Christine being in, the dating world, and just like being all like cute and flirty, with him, and he's cute and flirty with her, and they're just really adorable.
Thank you and kind regards.
And it's nice to see that being portrayed on screen of like the everyday, very awkward, cringy, but yet very cute moments that you can have, from dating and then being boyfriend and girlfriend, and seeing that in a comedy series. And right now, you don't see that a whole lot. With Daniel and Christine, I like how they follow the progression of their relationship because they get to show their true selves and, who they are instead of, putting up a facade, and how they're actually really falling in love with one another. So I think that is really sweet and endearing to show in the show. But it's something that I'm like, you know what? I need to watch The New Adventures of Old Christine again because that show was hilarious. And last but not least, we have a couple that we don't really talk about enough. Or me personally, I think we don't talk about enough, which is Ella and Prince Charmant. Ella Enchanted. Who all loves Ella Enchanted? If you do, this is great. If you haven't seen it, I'm gonna tell you the premise and then you gotta go watch it. So here's the premise. We have Ella when she was really young. I think she's just a little baby. And she gets this gift of obedience. But at first you would think, that's great, for a child, but it's actually not, right? You're telling them, go to sleep, eat, get up, do this, wash the dishes, do all these things, but she's automatically being told what to do, so she's not building up her own voice. All right, this is a problem. So when she's getting into her like early 20s, she still has this gift of obedience, and for people telling her what to do, and this is, it's really scary and dangerous, right? So, but she's still very, much independent. She's still trying to kind of fight against this as much as she can. But when she goes on, a journey to, figure out how to, end this and find the person that gave this to her, which is, what's her name? The fairy Lucinda. So she's going on this journey to end this gift of obedience. Then she runs into Prince Charmant. And now Prince Charmant, he was Fiyero before Fiyero. Before Fiyero was on the screen with Jonathan Bailey, we had Hugh Dancy playing Prince Charmant. He was charming, a little naive at times, but then when he's really thinking about it, and he really thinks and feels for the people and also for Ella, and he cares. So it had to take, for moments for him to kind of slow down in his mind and being like, it's not all about me. It is also about the people and the kingdom, the community, and actually, putting my heart on my sleeve. That's what, I can do here in my prince role, right?
I have recently taken a long look at the man in the mirror.
And Anne Hathaway and Hugh Dancy, the sparks are flying. The sparks are flying because they even have a scene of them in front of a fire. And that's how I was like, see? they ignited the sparks into a fire, because I was like, oh my goodness, the way they were like looking into their eyes and they were like connecting. You know, when you see, you know, the characters start to have a conversation and they're sharing their past and being more vulnerable with one another, you're like, oh my goodness, they're having a moment. They're having a moment. And that's what I love so much about that movie, because you again see them become friends, from friends to lovers, but like have that establishment of honesty and, you know, truthfulness and like all the makings of a, you know, a great relationship into that film. And so I was like, they just knew how to make the characters of Ella and Prince Charles come to life and really make the chemistry so believable and so enchanting.
It's a bit camp, but we'll go with it.
I just love that film. So let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about these TV shows and movies? And if you recommend any TV shows and movies of other romances that I need to look into, that we can talk about on the channel, let me know, because we love talking all things romance here. And I hope you have a comfy and cozy rest of your day. Bye.